What's it like just to finally come to one of these meetings? You know a lot of the people here already. How much fun has it been?
No, I know most of the people, and I've been in this building a lot of times, but it's neat to be here in this capacity. And I actually love to hear Matt speak. You know, he gets me fired up, gets me excited, and I'm already pretty excited. I don't think I've ever, this is, I think, football season 18 for me. Never looked forward to one as much as I'm looking forward to this one, but this is what really gets it started.
What's the thing that you look forward to most? Why do you say that?
I want to see what that stadium is like. I've been in it. I've never been in it for a game. You know, this is one of the bastions, the cornerstones of college football in Lincoln, Nebraska. And to be a part of it and be able to have some ownership in it, I'm really excited. I want to see what it's like. I want to feel that energy inside the stadium that Matt's been talking to me about since I got here.
You know, I know it might not be the way you envisioned in January, but to be here and to see that W on the board, is there a level of satisfaction that you can take from being here and seeing that job completed?
You know, when I got there, I think it'd been about 45 days since the announcement, and so the 4 schools were involved in all the meetings along the way over the course of the last year, and I think the Big Ten did a great job of involving and including. And while you weren't voting on anything, you know, your say was being heard. So there's been a great job by the league of integrating all 4 schools. It'll be exciting. I know what the buzz was on campus. The athletes at Washington were looking forward. You know, this is a whole different set of venues, a whole different set of experiences, and everybody was really looking forward to this opportunity. And Matt just said it's a great league. And it is the NFL. It spreads from one end of the country to the other end of the country, and there's going to be a lot of very different experiences for people. A lot of our kids get to go to California and playing in Southern California. It's a different world, something maybe we've never experienced.
What fires you up about hearing him talk when you listen to those 15 minutes?
Well, I've said this. I think Matt's as good at the podium as anyone you'll see, because he has a broader. He's not just a football coach. You know, he's a mentor to a lot of the other coaches on our staff. He's involved and has an understanding of how everything that happens in the football program affects every other sport. He's got good relationships with our other coaches, so when you sit there and listen to him talk about the academic and the education, he's not talking about it because he's at the podium. He believes it. And it's a reason inside the department everybody rallies around a coach who's a leader like that when his interests are the interests of everyone in the department.
Troy, lots of talk about roster sizes in the future, and obviously it's a bigger deal in Nebraska than most places.
Yeah.
Where are you at on that? What do you know, and what are your hopes for future roster sizes?
Well, you know, the Big Ten in general has wanted larger roster sizes. You know, Nebraska in particular, but a lot of the Big Ten schools have really built themselves on walk-on programs over the years. However, and I said this to Mitch a week ago, I haven't gotten too worked up. Matt's not gotten too worked up because the year before COVID, roster sizes by the NCAA were regulated at 110. And that's how many could come into camp was 110. And so we grew to 105 or 115 and 120 for 2 reasons. One, COVID, to have more kids with COVID going through, and then secondly with the 6th-year kids, the extra COVID kids. So we were still able to recruit high school kids at the same numbers. So we're used to roster numbers that are a little smaller. Even while we have 140 going through summer workouts, the current rule is 120. So we're always going to have to make cuts when camp starts. It's just a matter of where do those numbers end. And I've said this, the details, the number is inconsequential as much as the details of how that number is derived. And does that number last throughout the year? Can we still have our 140? Can we still build that program and then come into camp with basically a cut? And we've all gone through cuts, but can we still do that? Those are the questions I don't know the answers to just
Troy,
yet.
Talking to Rich Clark earlier about campuses preparing for the potential of hosting CFP games. They sent surveys out and did a lot of. What's been like maybe some of the bigger challenges that, let's say, Nebraska would face should that come to be in December that you guys have to work through?
Well, I think northern latitude schools are all going to have to worry about weather in a way that we don't normally have to. However, we're already playing a home game every other year, right? Thanksgiving weekend. So it's only a couple of weeks different, but preparing for what a mid-December looks like. We've talked about whether we're going to put grass in our field, keep turf in our field. You know, if you're going to have grass in your field, you need live grass if you're going to be playing in December. So there are other considerations that need to be made. But, the idea of could we host a playoff game at our place? I think would be off the charts for people. Obviously something that's unprecedented. So whatever challenges there, the excitement and the adrenaline that would go through if you were in that position are going to more than offset any of those challenges.
Any requirements of winterization, anything like that that's been discussed from the CFP?
No, nothing that I've seen come down yet. But there's more information now. At this point in time, nobody can winterize their field if they haven't already winterized it. But making sure if, as I said, if we have high school playoff games in there and Thanksgiving weekend and it's a rainstorm and the field gets torn up, trust me, we will have pallets of whatever we need to have. Again, assuming we had a grass field, we'd have pallets of grass ready to go. So we'll make whatever accommodations, we'll have everything on standby because we want our athletes to have the best chance for success. And we want our fans to have the best possible environment to enjoy a playoff game if we get to that point.
So if you go to grass, are you anticipating you could still host high school football championships still?
Sure. This is not the grass of 25 years ago. This is grass. A lot of stadiums host high school championships in grass. There are contingencies that you have to make, and we'll have a large crew that would take good care of that grass. But it wouldn't change what we do in the stadium now.
What would the timeline of that be?
At the earliest 26, but I'm not guaranteed to be 26. There's other stadium work that we're planning to do, and it would be a part of that stadium work. So really, how the stadium work would align with, I don't want to put grass in and then have to go drive trucks over it and tear the grass up in a year. So getting that system, it's going to be at least a couple of years, but again, contingent on how we handle the stadium renovations going forward.
But grass will happen.
That's the plan for grass to happen, yeah. Matt's highly motivated for grass.
Okay.
We've done some work in the practice fields. We've re-topped them with new grass. After this season, we plan to dig those out, put subsurface heating in to keep those practice fields grass alive.
Really?
He'll practice on grass unless there's lightning or it's impossible. We won't go indoors if that's his preference to play on grass. And I think that's maybe a little bit of the NFL coach in him. There's a lot of safety evidence and injury history that shows you want to play on grass, you can possibly play on grass. But it's not like it was 20 years ago with the grass getting torn up, and even now Bermuda grasses are grown at our latitude, whereas it was maybe ryegrass and bluegrass years and years ago. So it's evolved, and I think we're ready to evolve with it.
Well versed in this subject.
I've done a lot of research.
You've been pretty candid about just the relationship between winning and support for stadium renovations, winning and support for NIL, things like that. What does a good season this year look like at Nebraska?
If you go into any game and you don't expect to have a chance to win, and that's all you hope for. One of the things I've told every coach and I've told every athlete as I've met with them, all the best we can do, and I'll use a track analogy, and we're in lane 4, we're going to run as fast as we can in lane 4, we're going to be prepared in lane 4, and at the end of the race, lane 3 may beat us. We can't control necessarily what happens in lane 3, but if we do everything right in lane 4, that is the best we can do. And so, it is sports. Weird things happen in lane 3, and sometimes you don't perform in lane 4 the way you want to. But the one thing I do have confidence in our coaches and our staff, and this is across the board, not just football, we're really well prepared to make sure we do and optimize ourselves in lane 4 as best we can.
Is there how many things you've been able to knock off maybe Matt Rule's to-do list when you got here?
Well, I joke, and he gave me a list the night that I came to campus. I landed about 10 p.m. At 11 o'clock, he was taking me through the Go Big facility at the time, now the Osborne Legacy Complex. And he handed me a folder that had 17 things. These are the 17 things I think we need to do to win here. And someday, someday that'll be a list of 27, right? Someday it'll be a list of 35. But someday I'll bring that list out because it's in a folder, it's locked in the bottom of my desk, but he's right. He's been right on almost every one of them. He may be right on every one of them. So, he's the expert. He's built programs in places that are harder to build than at Nebraska. So leaning on him, my job is to facilitate his needs. One of the things as a staff, we've told all the staff doesn't work, or the coaches don't work for us. We work for them. And our job is to empower their success. And so Matt's done a really good job for me of defining what needs to happen in order for success to come his way.
Is there anything on that list that another school in the Big Ten already has? Like that you're trying to catch up to?
Well, we're trying to catch up to anybody that wins more than we do. You know, and there are a lot of ways to do that. Some of them within our control, some of them not within our control. And it's not just things. It's not just baubles and trinkets and toys. It's philosophies. It's ease of approach. How can we make things easier so we don't worry about this, and let's worry about this, which really impacts winning. And I think that's the other central piece to his list, and really where it would have jived with my list coming in. If it doesn't matter to whether we win or lose, let's not waste our time worrying about it.
Hey, Troy, the new arrangement with your NIL, I mean, what kind of impact have you seen with that, with donors now being able to get the priority points or the potential charity tax write-off donations?
Overwhelmingly positive response. You know, part of it's just re-educating our people about why this is the investment. Sometimes we need them to invest in tickets. Sometimes we need them to invest in the annual fund. Sometimes we need them to invest in a capital improvement. Right now, the priority, in order to, how do we win, we have to invest in talent. And it's NIL today. Next year it'll be the revenue share model. And so getting people used to the fact that supporting the program in a way that directly benefits financially the student athletes may have been verboten 10 years ago, and it may not have been something they ever contemplated 20 years ago as they grew up with it, but it's really vitally important today because this is the model for college athletics and college football in particular.
The SEC put out the number 15 million of the 22 million would go potentially towards football. I mean, what are the Big Ten athletic directors' thoughts on that? I mean, that's a fairly large number of the 22. And
well, I don't think anybody wants anybody to spend more than anybody else does. We all want to have that level of a playing field. I remember if you go back to when cost of attendance came in, remember if we would say if somebody was getting $3,500 in cost of attendance, we were getting $2,500. There's no way a kid will ever come to our school because of that $1,000 dump. They don't even talk about cost of attendance anymore. But you know, we all want to be on as level of a playing field as possible, including financially, including how we support our programs. That said, the playing field is never level. And whether it's facilities, whether it's weather, whether it's history, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's access to talent, there are inequities every place along the way. Where we've gotten ourselves in trouble is trying to legislate everything equitably, and it's just not. However, as we get into this new world, if you will, doing things like this commonly, to where you're not trying to buy, somebody can't necessarily buy success, that you're all similarly situated, is a priority, I think, for all of us.
Since you last talked about the stadium, how have you felt about how you've been able to recalibrate with the plans, and what are like the key items just ahead in your mind at the stadium?
Well, a lot of it's just been settling, getting a staff built, getting somebody, I just hired somebody that I had hired at Tulane to come in and oversee facilities and capital planning. I've got a meeting scheduled with the architects again here just to kind of recalibrate where we at with East and West designs. Let's start with what are the price tags. So, you know, I don't think there's nothing imminent, and I don't think you'll see anything imminent, at least through the season, as far as this is going to happen with the stadium or that's going to happen. There are things we have to get done and improvements we've made. We've invested about $6 million in Wi-Fi, so we can do point of sale systems, so eventually we can go to ticketless access, you know, which is the standard, right, anywhere else. So we're starting to do a lot of things like that, but the actual physical, when's this coming down, when are we making those improvements? We really haven't done much more than we talked about earlier.
What still needs to come online with to make the new building fully operational as camps for all your fall sports get started?
Right now, I would say it's almost punch list items.
Okay.
You know, some getting the electronics all, but physically the construction piece is fully finished.
Are you guys? I don't remember the exact timeline on the training table and the second level stuff. Is that stuff?
The training table will open next week.
Okay.
Whenever all the athletes come, we'll start. They've been preparing some meals and trying to get it operational and up to speed. Obviously, we brought Flick in, which is a new company, so there's a lot of new there. But when the athletes come in and start reporting next week, and not just football, but volleyball will come in, cross country will come in soon, soccer, they'll all be in the new training table from day one.